So we've talked a lot about Kanban throughout the earlier lectures.
Yeah.
Just want to get in a little deeper and
Yeah.
get some conversation going around it. So I know you've got some thoughts around Kanban, so I'll hand it over to you. Let's talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, and what I want to discuss is a lot of people are talking about Kanban right now. Almost everybody has a Kanban board, even in their home, and it's gaining a lot of popularity. And what we are looking at is kind of the tip of the iceberg, which is the first thing is visualizing your work, which is very important aspect of any project that you want to visualize your work, right? And that's what Kanban actually literally means.
Oh, does
in
it?
Japanese.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a signal board. It's like you have a visual signal of the work.
Awesome.
Right? But let's look at something beneath the tip of the iceberg, some of the other practices where you can really understand the value of Kanban.
So the tip of the iceberg is that board that everybody knows what it looks like now. We've gone through the lectures, but a lot of them have probably seen that.
Yep.
And the cards, and you move them throughout the board. And you're saying there's deeper insight.
100%.
Let's do it.
So let's say we talked about the first one on the top is visualize the work. The second one is you limit your work in progress. It's also called, there's a lot of hashtags out there.
Of course, there's abbreviations for everything.
Yeah, hashtag limit WIP. Right?
Got it.
You limit your WIP. So the core concept behind this practice is if you have a lot of items in your to-do list, you end up not actually getting anything done, or you end up losing your flow because you're just you're all over the place. You're not focused on that one task and focused on getting this one thing to done.
Yeah, so actually me for my business, I use a Kanban board. I'm definitely not full Kanban in all the techniques, but I did exactly what you said at the beginning. When I loaded up my board, I had my kind of future tasks, I had my now tasks, and I had my complete tasks, right?
100%.
So my future task was my full list, and then I had my now tasks, and that was my work in progress. And what I found was a lot of stuff made it in the work in progress, and that list became unruly. It was at 35 items that there was no way I could actually focus on completing all of these. And it was overwhelming. And what I ended up having to do is take more than half of that stuff and move it back to future, reprioritize and say, what's actually important right now? And I know a lot of organizations go through that similar thing. Everybody wants to put it in so they can say it's in progress, whether or not they're going to be working on it soon or not.
100%. And it's backed up by science. Like task switching doesn't work. Working on multiple items at the same time, you're not actually giving your best in terms of solving that problem. And I at some point literally cried because I had so many things in the in progress column and nothing was being done, and I just scratched that board and I said, okay, I'm just going to focus on the most important items and then focus on getting those few things done.
Yeah, because the whole point of Kanban is it's fluid and you're continually getting value, right? You're continually finishing things. Well, if you get too much in your work in progress list and your WIP list, you're not going to get things done because you're going to be putting so much little bit of effort. You're basically splicing your effort between so many things. You never actually get to move it really far forward. So good. So that's the work in progress limit. Important. All right, what else?
Yeah, so the next one is you manage your flow. So what does this mean? If you look at the history of how the work or people were managed, right? They're always project managers and they manage people. They make sure
people are looking down at them, making sure they're doing their stuff.
Everybody has the work and nobody's sitting idle.
Sure.
So Kanban has a very different idea about managing work. And what they say is, hey, take off the focus from the people. Don't try to manage people. Try to manage the highest priority work. If you're continuously working on making the highest priority work available for the team, it's a pull-based system. So team members know there's an agreement that once the items are there, they can go there and they can pull the user stories that are actually listed as the highest priority. So you enable teams to focus and you don't do context switching. You try to break down complex stories into smaller, simpler stories that can be done. So you're kind of breaking down the complexity.
Because you want them to be able to pick up that ticket and complete it, not complete it halfway and be stuck waiting for something else because of huge complexities. You really want to take out a piece of that and say, the next person that grabs this is going to be able to get it done.
And when you do these things, you're able to manage your flow. You're kind of able to get into that flow state for the team. For instance, let's look at this example. Let's look at the traffic in the highway. Okay. Right? So Highway 270.
All right.
It's one of the highways in St. Louis.
I'm not very familiar with it. I probably drove on it. But.
So at rush hour, imagine 5 p.m., and there's only so much capacity, right? What happens if you put a lot of cars and you take over the capacity of the highway?
Everything stops.
stops, and there's really no flow, right? So what we are saying is when you're managing your work, you don't want to put everything there so then work stops. You want to be able to really create that nice flow where the work is kind of going from ready to done in an ongoing basis, and everybody's kind of focused on getting things done.
Yeah, in a lot of cities they have actually the traffic diverters basically that have the red lights. When you're trying to get on the highways or interstates, they have red lights where you have to stop at, and it's waiting to get a good break in the traffic before it releases you. It's just staggering the flow of those work items or cars in this case, so then everything continues to move forward.
Yep. So that's a great example actually.
Awesome. All right, so that's all about managing flow and making sure things keep moving.
Yeah.
What's next?
So the next thing is making policies explicit. So Kanban can be used in any kind of development area, and it comes from traditional car making industry, right? It comes from Japan, when it comes from Toyota, right?
I use it for my business. I know you use it a lot.
Yeah. So you can be used in different contexts, and for you, your business partner is maybe a co-instructor, and your wife, and maybe somebody assistant that you hired, right?
Yep.
So you want to have an explicit working policy with your team members.
So like with a working agreement, you can really just kind of mold it to how your organization needs it, right? You can set your own policies within Kanban. Kanban's not strict about you have to do it this way and this way and this way. They're saying, here's kind of a tool, a framework. You build what you need around it to make it work for you, right? I mean, that's kind of how it's saying.
Yeah, and then not only just for the organization, also for the team, because every teams are also different, right?
Yeah. So dynamics are different, and what you're accomplishing is different.
So how do you know when work is ready? So that's kind of a little bit more like a definition of ready.
Sure.
That is a policy. How do you know when work is done? Does unit testing need to be part of it? Who tests the product? Is there a product owner role? Maybe they might not have a product owner. They might have something called a product manager, right?
Sure.
So whatever that is, they can make it very explicit and put it in the team room or somewhere where everybody can get access to these agreements. So then everything is flowing. Makes sense.
And it makes sense because Kanban's more of a mature framework, right? It's not, a lot of companies that are starting into Agile don't just jump right into Kanban because 100%. It's more for like a mature team, a team that's been doing this a while. They get it. Things are flowing correctly. They're hitting expectations of delivering value for whatever they're doing. And then that Kanban really helps. But to a team that's just coming into Agile, that open policy or open door as to how you want to handle it, they may be overwhelmed. Like, we don't know how we want to do this.
Or they will have policies exactly to do what they're already doing, which is waterfall. Like a waterfall.
It doesn't change anything but adds a board with some cards, right?
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of people are just going to go to what they're used to and what they've done before. So it's really good for mature teams, I guess is the point.